Hi, this is Caroline at the Noble Thread. Welcome to this tutorial. Today I will be showing you how to embroider a seed stitch gradient leaf, like the one in my new design, Fall Rhapsody. So if you've purchased the kit, just grab your pattern and your fibers, or you may grab a piece of fabric, some thread and a needle, and let's just get started. The first thing I like to do is I like to make sure that my fabric is tightly held in my hoop. So I pull all the way around, I want it to sound like a drum, so it's still a little bit loose here for me. I really like it to be tight. This way there's, it helps me have the best, most even stitches here. Yeah, that's better. So we're ready. I'm going to be working with 4 colors to create a leaf similar to this one. So I've grabbed a section of my brown thread and I'm going to be threading it on my needle. So for those of you who are not familiar with how to thread a crewel thread, the easiest is to wrap it around your needle like so. And just pinching the threads, fold it over the needle, insert that into the eye of the needle. There you go, just pull. I just made a knot at the bottom of my thread, and I'm going to start from the top of the fabric. And I'm going to pull. And because I know that I'm going to have some tiny seed stitches in the brown color here, I'm going to go ahead and put 2 tiny stitches to hold my thread in place. I've placed 2 tiny seed stitches and I'm ready to start the outline. I'm going to start at the point of my leaf and I'm going to go around the leaf in stem stitches to create the brown outline. My thread is really held in place. I can go ahead and snip that little knot off. There you go. You have a very clean beginning. So for the stem stitch, again, go in. I hold the thread open, go back to the end of my previous stitch, and I just pull. Keep going down the side of your leaf without rushing. Keep your stitches even, not too long, not too short. You don't have a lot of turns, twists and turns, so you can just do a medium size stem stitch. Go to the point, insert, go to the tip of the next point and go back towards the inner point. You're going to keep going in this fashion until you reach the edge of the next leaf, making sure not to go into the next leaf. Because we're not going to have any brown seed stitches at the bottom of our leaf, we're going to just gently carry the yarn over to the center vein. And this time we're going to go up in stem stitch for the center vein. We've reached the end of the center vein. And now we just carry the yarn over gently to the tip of our leaf and we repeat the process of stem stitches all the way down. So once again we are reaching the end of the line that we are outlining. with stem stitch. And we're going to, like we did on the other side, just work to the edge of the next leaf. And because I know that this center leaf is actually going to be done in long and short stitch and will be completely covered, I'm going to go ahead and put a couple tiny stitches in that leaf to end my thread. So I've got a new thread, again in the brown color, and I'm going to go up to the top and again place a couple tiny seed stitches in order to start that new section of my work, which is going to be made entirely of seed stitches. So I might as well take advantage of that and make my starting seed stitches as pretty as I can. Again, I'm going to snip the little knot off because my thread is secure. And here, I want you to imagine a line that would continue from the pointy end of that leaf, that would continue and merge into the center vein. So if I draw this imaginary line, it's kind of bringing me down here. So I'm going to place my seed stitches densely over here and then taper them down towards that center vein. And to do my seed stitches, it's really simple. You go in any direction, really, never putting two stitches next to each other that would be in a similar direction. And you just make a tiny stitch, like the stitch you did to hold your thread at first. And I'm just going to fill up the space as best I can. And sometimes a seed stitch will be a little bit bigger, sometimes a little bit smaller, but I try to keep them pretty even. So I continue to work each side at a time. I don't try to make my stitches symmetrical on one side and the other. I mean, nothing in nature is really ever symmetrical. It is balanced, but not symmetrical. Symmetry is kind of a human invention. And if you think about it, actually, you never really remember anything that's terribly symmetrical. You do remember something that is balanced. So there we go. You see I'm starting to taper the stitches towards the center vein. I'm just going to put a couple more in here. And then I'm going to just put one kind of far off here to the right and one far off right here. I'm almost done doing the stitches on the second side, and again I'm going to repeat the process of putting a couple stitches in odd places, really because they're going to be helping us transition into the next color. And because I'm in my brown, I can do those little finishing seed stitches to end my thread. There we go. And I cut. I have just threaded a needle with my rust orange thread and starting within my seed stitches in brown, I'm going to place, again, those couple holding stitches, but they will work themselves really beautifully into the brown section. And sometimes I go quite high up, actually, to bury them in there, and that helps with the transition. So once again, we're at the end. We're going to work a couple seed stitch and end our thread. You've guessed what the next step is. We're going to go ahead and take the darker gold. And this time, we're going to have to add a little bit more imagination to the line, but we're going to go basically to the end of the center vein with the darker gold tapering, and then we'll fill the remaining space with the lighter gold.